After a grueling day at her desk, Emily longed to return to her quiet apartment. But that evening, as she navigated the bustling city streets, a stranger gripped her wrist and murmured something startling. "Keep moving and act like you're my spouse." What began as a confusing encounter quickly pulled her into a chain of events she couldn't have imagined. Amid concealed secrets, surprising meetings, and a bond that seemed to defy reason, Emily's carefully ordered life was about to be flipped upside down. Hello, dear readers, I'm Sarah, and welcome to Sarah's Heartfelt Tales. I hope you love this tale. The digital clock on Emily's monitor glowed 9:53 p.m. She massaged her weary eyes, adjusting the slim glasses perched on her nose. The accounting firm was eerily quiet, the other workstations deserted for hours. With no family obligations, Emily was always the one to linger, tackling last-minute tasks. "Another spreadsheet done?" she whispered to herself, tidying the stack of documents in a faded tan folder. Her fingertips were calloused from handling paperwork, and a nagging ache had settled in her lower back from hours in the same chair. As she locked up the office, Emily glanced at the night sky. The city's glow drowned out the stars, but the full moon radiated brightly. The air was comfortably warm for a Friday evening. At the cab stand, after waiting fruitlessly for over 30 minutes, she made a spontaneous choice. "A walk might do me good," she thought, slinging her bag over her shoulder and clutching the folder tightly to her chest. At 33, Emily considered herself fit, despite her desk-bound routine. A 45-minute stroll would be a relief after sitting all day. The downtown streets buzzed with life. Sidewalk cafes hosted couples sharing intimate moments. Laughter spilled from bar doorways, and clusters of friends wandered, swapping stories and weekend plans. Emily watched these scenes with a blend of intrigue and wistfulness. It had been nearly 2 months since she'd last gone out with friends, when her old college pal, Jessica, visited for a work trip. Most of her other friends were in different life stages, married, raising kids, or living far away. Nobody talks about how hard it is to make new friends as an adult. Not that marriage was the key to joy, she often reminded herself. But on nights like this, solitude weighed heavier than usual. Bills, deadlines, and her pursuit of a promotion had become her life's focus. Lost in these musings, Emily didn't notice a bar door swing open abruptly. A man hurried out, crashing into her. The collision startled her, and her folder slipped from her grasp. Like a scene in slow motion, papers fluttered across the pavement, some caught by the soft evening breeze. "Oh no!" Emily exclaimed, dropping to her knees to gather the documents before they were ruined or lost. "I'm so sorry I didn't see you," the man said, crouching to assist. "Let me help with these." When Emily looked up, she met a pair of warm brown eyes filled with genuine remorse. The man, about 36, had slightly messy dark hair and a rugged charm, accentuated by a hint of stubble. "You didn't need to bolt out like you were fleeing a crime scene," Emily snapped, her frustration from the day spilling over. "Now they're all mixed up." "I'm truly sorry," he replied, collecting more papers. "I was caught off guard. These look important." "They're financial reports I need for Monday," she said, her tone softening as she noticed his earnest effort. "Now I'll have to sort them all over again." "Working late on a Friday and still bringing work home?" he asked, his voice a mix of respect and sympathy. Emily sighed wearily. "Someone has to do it, and since I don't have kids to rush home to or a date to keep." "I get it," he nodded, handing her the final stack of papers. Then his demeanor shifted. His eyes widened as he glanced toward the bar's entrance. A stylish couple stood there, scanning the crowd as if searching for someone. The man tensed visibly. In a quick motion, he linked his arm with Emily's. "Walk with me and pretend you're my wife," he whispered urgently. Before Emily could object, the woman from the couple waved and approached. "James, there you are. We thought you'd vanished," she said with a forced smile. James, as Emily now knew him, adopted a calm demeanor, gently pressing her arm as if signaling a plea. "No, my wife texted that she was here, so I stepped out to meet her." "Mark and Sophia, this is my wife." A brief silence followed, and Emily felt the weight of their curious stares. For a moment, she considered exposing the charade. But something, perhaps the monotony of her days or a spark of curiosity, urged her to play along. "I'm Emily," she said with a warm smile. "Lovely to meet you, Mark and Sophia." James's subtle exhale of relief was barely noticeable, but Emily caught it, sensing an odd connection forming. "You must join us for a drink," Sophia insisted, her sleek blonde hair and designer dress hinting at a lifestyle far beyond Emily's. "We don't want to impose," James started, but Mark, a tall man with a commanding presence, was already ushering them back inside. We won't take no for an answer. We can't believe James finally settled down. We have to meet the woman who won over our lifelong bachelor. The bar was inviting, with soft lighting and polished wooden tables. They settled into a booth, drinks in hand. Emily chose a glass of white wine while James ordered a bourbon. "So how did you two meet?" Sophia asked, leaning in with eager curiosity. Emily and James shared a quick glance and she took the lead. "It was at a library," she improvised, thinking of her favorite haunt. "We reached for the same book and there was only one copy." "A romance novel?" Sophia asked, grinning. "Actually a guide to budgeting," Emily replied, staying true to her world. "We decided to share it," James joined in smoothly. "Best choice I ever made. We started meeting at a coffee shop to discuss it and well, here we are." "How long has it been?" Mark asked, genuinely engaged. 2 years dating, 6 months married, James said confidently. 9 months, Emily corrected simultaneously. A tense pause hung in the air. 9 months, James echoed, chuckling nervously. "Time slips away when you're in love." "To the happy couple," Mark toasted, raising his glass. As the evening unfolded, Emily and James wove a fictional tale of their romance. Each question was a test, and their answers weren't always seamless. James mentioned their dog, Max, only for Emily to later mention her pet allergies. "That's why Max stays with my brother," James added quickly, sparking a shared, stifled laugh. There was something exhilarating about crafting this illusion. Emily, typically cautious and organized, embraced the role of a devoted wife, inventing tales of a non-existent beach honeymoon and dreams she'd never voiced. By midnight, after many stories and drinks, Sophia and Mark bid farewell, insisting on a future dinner. Alone on the sidewalk, James exhaled deeply. "I can't thank you enough," he said, running a hand through his hair. "Sophia knows my ex from years ago, a messy breakup. When I saw her with Mark, I knew she'd report back to my ex." "And you didn't want to look like the lonely bachelor," Emily said with a knowing smile. "Something like that," he laughed, sheepish. "I panicked when I saw them and ran into you." "Well, we're square for the paper disaster," she teased. "More than square, you were incredible in there spinning that story." "It was fun," Emily admitted, realizing it was the most alive she'd felt in months. "A change from my usual grind." "I know this was bizarre," James said, pausing as if choosing his words. "But it was a pleasure meeting you, Emily, really." "Same here, James." A quiet moment passed, filled with the distant hum of the bar and the lively street. "Back to reality," Emily said, adjusting her folder. "I have reports to sort." "Of course," he nodded, a hint of disappointment in his eyes. "Can I at least get you a cab?" "No need. I'm not far." They parted with a lingering handshake and a shy smile. Emily watched James disappear into the crowd, feeling an odd sense that something pivotal had just occurred. By Monday, the accounting firm was its usual chaotic self. Emily had spent the weekend reorganizing her papers and catching up on work, but her thoughts often drifted to that strange night. Around 10:30 a.m., the receptionist, Karen, approached with a bouquet of lavender and white roses. "Delivery for you," she said with a teasing grin. "A mystery suitor?" Emily, stunned, accepted the flowers as colleagues looked on curiously. Personal deliveries were rare for someone with her quiet social life. With shaky hands, she opened the small card. "For my wife, an invitation to dinner just us this time. Friday, 7:30 p.m. at Bistro Etoile. Text to confirm. Warmly, your husband, James." Emily's cheeks warmed. How did he know her workplace? Then she recalled mentioning the firm's name during their charade. "So, who's it from?" asked Lisa, a nosy coworker. "Just a friend," Emily said vaguely, tucking the card away but unable to hide her smile. The week passed in a haze of excitement. Emily, always deliberate, found herself buying a new skirt and contemplating a hairstyle change, small shifts reflecting a stirring within her. On Friday at 7:35 p.m., she arrived at Bistro Etoile, deliberately a tad late to seem relaxed. The bistro was charming, with warm brick walls and soft pendant lights. James was waiting at a corner table, standing as she approached. He wore a charcoal shirt that complemented his eyes, looking both nervous and thrilled. "You showed up," he said, as if he doubted she would. "Couldn't decline my husband's invitation," she quipped, the tension easing. Dinner flowed effortlessly. Without the need to pretend, they discovered shared tastes in classic films and detective novels. James, an architect specializing in heritage buildings, was often swamped with late-night projects, much like Emily. "What did you think of that night?" he asked over a shared lemon tart. "It was the most impulsive thing I've done in ages," Emily confessed. "I couldn't believe myself after." "Your quick thinking was impressive," he said. I almost believed we were married. With that story we spun, it'd be quite the marriage, she laughed. James grew thoughtful. That night showed me my life's been steady but dull. You reminded me how exciting it is to break from routine. I know what you mean, Emily agreed. We get so caught up in stability that we forget to live. That first dinner led to a second, then a third. Emily rediscovered her playful side, her easy laughter, her love for spontaneous outings, her openness to connection. James brought the unpredictability she hadn't known she craved. He suggested spur-of-the-moment dinners at new spots and even a salsa class, where they both stumbled clumsily. 3 months later, on a Sunday stroll in a city park, they spotted Sophia and Mark approaching. Our co-conspirators, James whispered, squeezing Emily's hand. James and Emily, Sophia exclaimed, delighted. What a lovely surprise. After warm greetings, they settled at a nearby cafe, chatting like old friends. You two look even more smitten than before, Mark noted, observing James's gaze on Emily. They shared a knowing smile. We're more in love every day, Emily said softly. As the sun dipped, casting a golden glow, Emily reflected on life's unpredictable turns. A chance collision, a bold request, and a playful lie had revealed a truth she'd taken years to grasp. Life doesn't wait for perfect plans or flawless timing. Sometimes, in the mess of surprises and bold choices, we find what we've been missing. It's not just the grand moments that shape us, but the courage to embrace the unexpected when it arrives. If you enjoyed this story, please leave a comment with a 1 to 5 rating to share your thoughts. Stay tuned for more tailies, and I'll see you soon.